And off we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today and your patience as I fumble around getting the short records today. Thanks for joining me for a cannabis product safety and handling practices for operators operating in the cannabis industry, whether that you're in CBD hemp or THC, marijuana. I just thought it would be great to revisit this. I did this webinar about a year ago on this topic, and I thought it'd be great to bring it back with what's going on with COVID-19 currently. And I've been doing these live webinars for about a year now, and I just do them once a month as a free educational tool, just to contribute and give back to our cannabis community and people operating licensed facilities. I also have to share and let you know I'm not a lawyer or doctor, and I'm just going to share just basic health and sanitation practices that I have learned. I worked in restaurants for 23 years, and then I've been in the cannabis sector, THC plant touching part of the industry for 11 years out here in Colorado. And I used to be a dispensary manager for several amount of years and director of operations of a large dispensary and a cultivation facility. I spent a lot of my time in manufacturing facilities, so I'm very hands-on with all license type facilities in the industry that I work in. And so I just thought it'd just be good to have a nice review today, since we're all trying to practice social distancing. And, you know, a lot of us in our industry are considered essential employees or a critical business right now, depending on the state that you're in. I'm in Colorado, so really need to go on and check your updates for your state. Are they considering cannabis and it's a critical business, or cannabis employees, essential employees? That is going to be a state by state. That is going to be a state by state implementation. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So one of the things I want to talk about is, are your employees trained? I know I would probably say in my 6 years of running a dispensary operation, I was never trained on how to properly wash my hands. I only knew how to properly wash my hands because I came from the restaurant industry. And in the restaurant industry, I had to have a food handler's card in order to work at the hotels or catering. I did a various of different jobs, from working in restaurants and working at hotels in downtown Denver. And also I worked in restaurants on the East Coast. So I always had to have that food safety card. So I was already well versed, but I never really thought about it until I became a ServSafe instructor recently, a year ago, out here in Colorado, where I was teaching ServSafe to cannabis manufacturers out here. And then I realized, you know, not maybe everyone understands the proper way to wash their hands, minus people who come from healthcare or the restaurant industry or other industries where they do get trained on this. So I just kind of, I'm going to play a video later on, but I just wanted to make sure that feel free to go online, YouTube, you can find lots of great videos on hand washing. If you just want to, if you're going to be doing any online Zoom meetings with your employees at this time, might be a good time to play the video. Or if you're an essential employee and you're having a team meeting to review with all your employees on a daily basis in the morning, whether you're a cultivation or manufacturer or dispensary, you should be having a little powwow every morning before you open, just to review, hey, what's our health and sanitation plan today? Because at the end of the day, things are moving really fast right now, and I can't tell you the amount of whiplash I have right now in Colorado, because we're not essential, we are essential, we're not essential. We had curbside, and now it's like, oh no, we can't take cash on the curb anymore. And so it just keeps changing very rapidly right now, and the government is really just trying to do the best they can, our local government, and making sure things are implemented properly in these facilities. So just, I would take it upon yourself to just do a little quick training um, in the morning with your employees, just to make sure they understand on what contact surfaces are you wiping down today, when should they be washing their hands, how do they wash their hands, making sure your bathrooms are stocked, that you have paper towels. And at the end, I'm going to share if anyone's having trouble locating hand soap or paper towels or rubber gloves or anything like that. I have a resource for you. I know a lot of these dispensaries are smaller mom and pop shops. They don't order from a commercial supplier. They actually go to Target and Walmart or the grocery store just to buy sanitizer wipes and trash bags and hand soap. And so now, since those places are getting hit by the general public, these facilities are struggling to find toilet paper and stuff for the facility. So at the end, I'm going to share a resource. If anyone that's a commercial operation, this is only commercial, that I will give you this resource that you can place an order with. Just writing myself a note. Okay. So when should you wash your hands? Great question. Probably something we don't really think about. I mean, other than the basic, touching raw meat, or if you get something on yourself, or if your hands feel sticky. We're not really walking around all the time thinking when we should wash our hands until recently. And now recently it's no longer in the background, and it's been moved forward, and it's on our radar all the time now. So I'm going to list, these are what we should do whether there's COVID-19 or not. So this is something that should be implemented whether we're in a pandemic, when we get on the other side of this pandemic, before this pandemic. These are all the things that we should be doing on a daily basis when we are operating and serving the general public. So one of them is using the restroom. So you should be washing your hands after you use the restroom, handling raw meats or fish, taking out the trash, touching hair, face, or body, touching clothing or aprons. If you work in a kitchen or a manufacturing facility and you wear a lab coat or an apron or a chef coat or anything like that, and you're touching that soiled uniform, you should be washing your hands. You should never wear that uniform when you go to the bathroom. So you should take your aprons off, your lab coats, all that. In fact, you can hang hooks outside your bathroom, clothing hooks, so the employees can hang up their aprons and coats outside the bathroom before they go in the bathroom. That's a little trick I like to share with everyone. Sneezing, coughing, using a tissue. If you're sneezing at work and coughing, we call it the Dracula, bringing over the cape, but you should be coughing into this and not letting it spray out if you can't get to a Kleenex fast enough. And wash your hands. Handling chemicals. We're in the cultivation facility. If you don't have rubber gloves and you're touching a numerous amount of jugs, big containers of nutrients, or anything in your cultivation facility, and you're handling and touching that, you're going to have different types of chemicals on your hands. You should definitely 100% wear gloves, but you want to wash your hands. Cleaning dirty tables or dishes. So when you're cleaning your dispensary or your manufacturing facility tables, you want to wash your hands after that. Smoking, eating, drinking, handling money, chewing gum or tobacco before and after wearing gloves to start a new task. So before you put gloves on, wash your hands. When you take those gloves off, wash your hands. And try not to keep reusing gloves. Don't rewash them. Make sure you're getting disposable gloves and throw them away. I'm going to have a great video later that's going to show us how to properly take off gloves. Let's see. Oh, leaving and returning to food or product prep areas. So let's just say you're rolling joints at your dispensary. Well, after you're done, you want to wash your hands, even if you had gloves on. If you are working on the manufacturing line, and you're going to have gloves on while you're doing this, but you're going to leave to go do something else, when you come back into that room, you should always wash your hands. Touching animals. I know this isn't going to really happen much, but at home, you're touching your pets. Sometimes There will be service animals that come into the dispensary. They're not in manufacturing or cultivation, but I have seen service animals that you're not supposed to touch anyways. Sometimes the patients will let you touch them, so you want to wash your hands. These things, cell phone, these things get dirty, dirty, dirty. I keep this in my house. I actually had these stocked well before COVID because I always wipe down my keyboard in my desk area and my phone anyways because I've just been trained on health and sanitation, and it's a good habit that I have. So you want to wipe down your cell phone. I got an itch. I'm not gonna use my hands right now, so I'll use my pen. So you want to make sure that you're wiping down the keyboard at the dispensary. You should be wiping down your keyboards, and I'm going to go over that in one of my next slides. Bare hand contact with plants, dirt, or fertilizers. At this day and age, we should not even be having bare hand contact in a commercial cultivation facility or a manufacturing facility. We are no longer operating on the black market where you can just have your hands in the soil. This is not gardening at home. You're a commercial cultivation facility or a manufacturer, and you're serving the general public. Even if you're medical, you're serving patients, and recreational, there's still people with compromised immune systems purchasing recreational cannabis. After mopping and cleaning, you want to make sure that you wash your hands. And then I highly recommend that everyone goes to the CDC website and check out their guidelines. I went and I perused their website the other day. They have lots of great information for healthcare, for restaurants. I would highly suggest reading it, and you can take what you read and see how you can apply it in your cannabis operation right now. There's lots of great information on the EPA website, the CDC website, and I highly recommend just going and spending like an hour or to 2 hours seeing what information that you can grab that you can use to implement at your facility. So I told you I had a hand washing demo. I found this on YouTube. I definitely watched it to make sure that there was an appropriate hand washing process. They do a really good job. It's 30 seconds. And I thought it was important, just a good reminder for us. So one of the things I wanted to note, I don't know if you noticed this, but she took the paper towel and turned off the faucet. This is something I teach in ServSafe, that this is not just a coronavirus thing. This is something that we've been teaching in food safety for a long time, and that's after you wash your hands, the paper towel, you want to grab it, turn off the faucet, and open the door with it. So when I go into facilities, one of the first things I do is I look at the bathroom and I tell people, put the trash can by your door, by the door that they exit from the bathroom, or put a second trash can. People ask me why. It's because I want to grab the paper towel and open the door, and I need a place to throw the paper towel away after I use it to open the door. This is probably something I've been practicing for a long time, especially more now than ever. When before we had all these stay-home orders, when I was going to the movie theater, I was noticing that there were no trash cans by the front door, and I was using the fabric of like my sweater or something to open the door if I was going to Starbucks and stuff like that. So yeah, if you have a facility, keep a little trash can right by the door so people can use that paper towel to open the door, because then you're just recontaminating your hands, and everyone's doing the best that they can to stay up on wiping down all these contact surfaces. But this is just an added precaution that you can take for being responsible for yourself, and not just assuming that these places are cleaning it as much as you would think that they were cleaning it. So it's just an added precaution. Just to go to the next slide. There we go. So I thought it'd be important to talk about when when and what should I clean? You're thinking, my gosh, what should I clean? Hopefully, most of you have already have a health and sanitation plan in place. And I'll talk a little bit about this definitely in another slide. But I kind of made up these little bubbles with some information in them. So one, you want to clean all contact surfaces, the general public and employees touch. That's a lot. So we're talking door handles, all kinds of things, iPads, and I'm just going to get all these popped open actually. Okay. So, today I'm learning. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're cleaning all contact surfaces the general public and employees touch. You want to follow regular cleaning. So obviously, I know as a dispensary, you already have opening and closing procedures. Great. So do manufacturers. So do cultivation facilities. But you want to make sure that you add in some added cleaning throughout the day, not just opening and closing, especially if you're a dispensary and your state is allowing you to be open as a critical business. And if you're not doing curbside and not a lot of people are doing online ordering or pickups, and you still have patients coming into your facility, you should wipe down the whole entire area, patient after patient. I know it sounds tedious and it might be a pain in the butt, but this is where we're at. I was at Target the other day and I went in and I was very impressed with their protocols. They did a fantastic job. So far, the best job, better than what I'm seeing at the grocery stores. And I went to the you scan it or self scan section where I scan the stuff myself. And they had everyone spaced 6 feet apart and you had to wait to be called before you were allowed to enter, and they told you exactly what station to go to. And I watched an employee completely disinfect that station before I came up to use it. They wiped down the credit card pad, the touch screen for the you scan it. They wiped down the whole entire surface of everything that the last person touched. And I was impressed. And you can implement this if you're still serving patients. And if you have patients still coming into your bud tending room where they're purchasing, you can just do a quick wipe down. If you have an iPad, you can have on here disinfect any contact surface a customer touches, such as an iPad where you're paying with a credit card. Not a lot of us have credit cards, but the dispensary I shop at, they have an iPad and I sign my name. It's a medical dispensary and I can pay with a credit card. People find ways to have credit card processing right now. So you just want to make sure that you're implementing um, really good health and sanitation practices throughout the day. Um, and you want to wipe down any shared items such as door handles, iPad, keyboards, phones, pens. I get so nervous now when I'm grabbing a pen to sign something. I'm going, is this pen clean? Is this pen, you know? So these are the things I know. Honestly, it could be a rabbit hole, and I'm not trying to get everyone in a rabbit hole and getting panicked, but you can't control everything. All you can do is control yourself. We can't. At the end of the day, you can protect yourself with. I have some hand sanitizer right here. I keep this in my car. I made this. I cannot find hand sanitizer anywhere, and I went to the CDC's website and I found a recipe um, on how to make some hand sanitizer. I already have some isopropyl at my house, and I picked up some aloe gel at Target, and I put it in a little travel container. And so I keep this in my car, and I just wipe down my hands because at the end of the day, some of these places just are not wiping down the pens or these tiny little objects. So these are just some things to think about. Dispensaries still allowing customers in the store should have someone cleaning contact surfaces every 15 to 30 minutes. I've been in a couple stores and I'm watching, there's just a person walking around. Their whole entire job is just cleaning down contact surfaces nonstop all day long. I've seen it in liquor stores, grocery stores. And so, and you can, if you are having trouble finding a sanitizer, like in my next bubble, I have only clean and sanitize with EPA approved disinfectants that to use against the COVID-19. I went to the EPA's website definitely go check it out. They have a list of approved disinfectants, all-purpose cleaners on there. Also, the CDC has a bleach solution that you can mix together and put in a spray bottle. So definitely lean on the CDC and the EPA if you're having trouble getting disinfectants. Make sure that if you do make your own disinfectant with bleach, that you label the bottle properly and that you're not spraying it on that there's no products around and you're not going to have any kind of chemical cross contamination or anything like that. So please make sure you're following labels and instructions and all that when we're using sanitizers that we're not familiar with. You want to wear rubber gloves when cleaning, and you want to properly remove the gloves and throw them away. And like I said, I'm going to have a video later. I thought it was interesting. I don't think a lot of people know the proper way of taking off rubber gloves. We don't think about it. We're just like pull the gloves off and get the next set on. We're not thinking about cross contamination all the time. So always wash your hands after cleaning any contact surfaces, even if you are wearing gloves. Wash your hands. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the next ones. So I just, decided I have a couple friends in the industry, and I was talking to one of them, and she had said that people aren't they're not using the gloves properly, and I said, you're right, you're right, and so I'm gonna go look for a video. I went to YouTube. This is the person in the healthcare industry. She'll do a disclaimer at the beginning of the video, as she probably should. But here's a quick demo from a healthcare worker on how to remove your gloves properly. And this is whether you're in the grow, dispensary, or manufacturing facility. And this is how we should be applying. We should be applying this no matter what, before COVID, now, and after COVID in the future. This is just the proper way to take your gloves off naturally. I think this video is like 2 years old. This was made 2 years ago. Anyways, I'll play the video for you. It's it's only a minute long. She did a great job. So that's basically how you should be removing your gloves right now. And so anyways, you can go to YouTube. There's lots of doctors and nurses going on right now making great videos. If you want to sanitize your groceries or anything like that when you're out food shopping, different things that you can do, I highly suggest taking a look at them. Um, uh, but at the end of the day, when we're essential, when cannabis is essential and we're serving the general public, we should be applying these health and sanitation practices um, no matter what, all the time, for as long as that we're operating these facilities. So this next slide, I thought this was really important to talk about. And the reason I want to point out the cracks. I wanted a photo with cracks in it, a foundation cracking, because I wanted to use the analogy of what's going on right now. And right now, we are seeing a lot of cracks in our foundation in the United States with our healthcare system. But not only that, but in these facilities that we're operating. And the cracks that I'm seeing is that not everyone has a health and sanitation plan ready, or they don't have OSHA standards implemented in their facility. And so this is basically exposing, and you're not the only one, this is exposing things in our businesses, and our life personally, our healthcare system, how we act, and how we're helping everyone right now, what's going on in our country. So everything is getting exposed and shook up like a little snow globe right now. And I actually have a snow globe, but it's I love Colorado snow globe, and I always shake it up to remind myself everything's getting stirred up right now. So this is the perfect time to go and review your processes. I know these dispensaries are going to start slowing down once people have stocked up, and then once the slowdown happens and you need something to do to keep busy, you should be updating your emergency procedures, your health and sanitation plan. Do you have a health and sanitation plan? What does what does that look like? If you have any guidelines for health and sanitation that your state is giving you right now, take those guidelines, copy and paste them, put them into a Word document, and update your SOPs and add this to your SOPs. None of us I thought maybe norovirus at one point was going to hit us in the industry. Like I was waiting for the norovirus. I was not expecting this at this level. I thought maybe norovirus might break out in a facility in some state because there's no proper hand washing procedures. I never thought I would see it at this scale. And so at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to make sure you have these plans in place and a recall plan. Who has a recall plan in place? Even if your regulations are limited on, recall procedures, you should have an internal procedure, because what if you go in the middle, what if you have a recall in the middle of this epidemic? How are you going to handle it? What are safe practices that you're going to implement to get to have your one customers know there's a recall, and two, what are your employees going to do with the recall, and how are you going to implement safe health and sanitation practices while this is going on? So take this time to see what's not working, to see where maybe you might be lacking in your facility, and you just didn't get this done, and do it now. Now is the time to fix it. This is the perfect time, especially now, like I said, with the cracks in our foundation are being exposed, and we can do better, and what we can improve on and do better. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to really look at ourselves and see how we can improve and become a better industry after all this is over. Oh boy, so sad. Little germ is not feeling too hot today. And yeah, so sick employees, I've always talked about this. So before COVID, I'm telling you, I always made sure it's actually written in our regulations in Colorado that sick employees are not allowed to come in contact with any regulated marijuana product, period. So now we're in the COVID 19 epidemic right now, pandemic, and that sick employees should not be coming into work, period. So make sure that you are communicating with your employees, that they understand if they are showing any symptoms of being sick, they are not to come into work. Even when we get on the other side of this pandemic, that employees should not come into work sick, because people think, oh, well, I'm recreational, it doesn't affect patients. That's not really true, because I know lots of people who shop on the recreational side who are that have compromised immune systems. They have illnesses. Some people just don't feel like registering as a medical patient. They don't want their name on the system. They want their privacy. Maybe they want to carry a gun and can have a gun permit, and you're not technically supposed to have a gun permit and have a medical patient card at the same time. So there could be a variety of reasons why somebody with a compromised immune system does not have a medical patient card. And I'm very grateful that Colorado is seeing recreational cannabis as a critical business, because there are people that do need this as a medicine and they don't have a medical card. So just be sure that you have a sick employee action plan implemented in your SOPs, and then as well as your employee handbook, and even making sure that the company that your company drafts a letter and sends out an email to all employees on any updated health and sanitation plans, anything around sick employees, anything new that you're implementing in the middle of this pandemic right now, so that way they have it the email and they can read it and understand it. Make sure you're communicating to your employees. I went to my favorite coffee shop, and it wasn't a Starbucks. It was a smaller chain out here in Colorado, but they don't have any idea what's going on. They're not being communicated to by their employer, and that to me is unacceptable in this time and what's going on right now. There should be 100% communication with your employees so they understand what's going on, they feel safe, and that they can still do their jobs professionally, but still feel like they're safe and they're not going to get sick, and that they're getting everything they need to protect themselves in these facilities. Whether you're a coffee shop or an employee at Target, or you're working in a cannabis facility, all these employees who are out there on the front lines right now should have everything they need to serve the general public. So I want to talk a little bit about at-risk population. This is something that I actually teach in ServSafe anyways. A lot of the stuff I just pulled from what I teach in food safety. So at-risk population. So this is basically an elderly person, anyone with a compromised immune system, or like an underlying illness. I'm sure we're learning more about at-risk populations than we ever have right now. I think prior to COVID, we weren't really thinking about at-risk populations. Um, so, and also, at least in food and safety, children are considered an at-risk population. Um, and so I just want to be sure that we are doing everything that we can in our industry to protect our at-risk population when it comes to operating these facilities. And that's why we're applying all the standards that we're applying right now, because at the end of the day, there are children that need this medicine for seizures, or autistic children need cannabis oil, and we've got elderly people who might have come off all their medications, all their prescription drugs, and they've been using cannabis for the last couple of years. Um, and we have patients that shop with us that have all kinds of underlying illnesses and have low compromised immune systems, and they can't afford to get sick. And not every state has delivery options right now. We're in the process, we just awarded our first delivery permit, but it's not even going to happen until around July, and it's in Boulder, and Denver still hasn't opted in for delivery for medical. So we're still behind in some areas. It just depends on where your state is with curbside or delivery, or what they're implementing. I'm going to share some things that Colorado has sent out, because I thought it would just be helpful to apply no matter what state that you are in. But I just want us to remember, at the end of the day, we serve an at-risk population in the cannabis industry. And they might appear to be healthy on the outside, but they're not healthy on the inside. And that's why they're an at-risk population. Okay, I wanted to talk about this. I thought this was important. As somebody who worked in dispensaries for a very long time, most all the dispensaries I worked in were Deli Style weighing. And trust me, as a customer, I love Deli Style weighing. I like to see what I'm getting. I like, some people like big buds, some people like the popcorn buds, some people like this and that, and they have to smell what they're buying. Um, Honestly, at this time and what is going on, I really highly suggest that dispensaries, unless it's already a regulation, but should be enforcing better control of your products. Enforcing better control of your products, meaning, do you really need to be deli style weighing right now? Um, I don't think so. I think at the end of the day that you can have the jar, they can see it, you can show it to them. Don't let them touch the jar. Don't let them smell the jar, but you can show it to them and then have stuff pre-packed. And the reason why I say pre-packed is because what it does is it's less people touching the product at the end of the day. So let's just say you have 12 employees, and those 12 employees are working throughout the week at your dispensary, and all 12 employees are touching those jars and letting customers touch the jars, and you're letting customers put their faces in the jars. It's too many hands touching everything. too much close contact with the product. This is raw product, so it's not coming packaged from a manufacturing facility already. So over here, I have a sample of a prepackaged, probably looks like an 8, that I found a picture online. So the thing about prepackaged, and I'm not a fan of prepackaged as a customer, but as a compliance person, as a health and sanitation person, I love it. And one, it's good inventory control at the end of the day. It does help with inventory. You definitely save on product loss because there's more control when it comes to pre-pack. Two, we know that there's less hands touching the product and handling the product and getting the product into the jar and weighing it out and pre-packaging. So now at the end of the day, the only thing that's being handled is the actual package. Like in the picture on the left, they're actually in contact. This person's not even wearing gloves. I don't even care if you have tongs, you should have gloves on. Whenever you're around any kind of raw product where there's the chance that there could be any kind of bare hand contact. So I highly would suggest people consider moving to pre-pack right now. Once you get on the other side of COVID, you can go back to deli style weighing. When we all get on the other side of this, we're going to appreciate all the things that we're missing out on right now, and that will probably be deli style weighing. Being able to go take a drive and go visit the places that we love, or just the everyday things that we might have taken for granted that we're not just able to do right now. And so I really highly recommend moving to pre-pack and having full control of your products. And no more smelling. Um, this is just a smart thing to do. At this point, I would not let customers even touch the jars. I wouldn't open them for customers. I wouldn't let them smell. I just wouldn't let them touch them right now. You should be wiping these jars down too, by the way, with disinfectant and making sure that every time an employee touches this, they're wiping it down. But honestly, trust me, I love smelling what I'm purchasing. Who doesn't? It's nice to know, am I buying something that smells like hay? Or does it actually have a nice smell and terpenes and am I smelling all those wonderful things that I love about cannabis? But this is just something that we should be putting on hold right now. And for the safety of employees, safety of customers, and part of our keeping our facilities extra uber cleaner than we ever have before. And this should just be part of your new health and sanitation plan. So I wanted to share, so Colorado, and this is for Colorado, but please make sure that you follow your state guidelines for if you are a critical business or not during COVID-19. So medical and retail marijuana stores are considered critical businesses that may continue operations pursuant to social distancing requirements and the Colorado marijuana rules. Regulated marijuana businesses, so this would be cultivation, manufacturing, testing, or transportation of regulated marijuana, are considered a critical business and are authorized to engage in necessary activities subject to social distancing requirements. So if you are these facilities, you need to be implementing the social distancing requirements. Even if your state hasn't mandated this, you should be implementing this to go above and beyond. Some places are moving slow with this. Other places are on top of it. It just depends. I'm seeing day by day new states, like I think it was Massachusetts, basically they're not considering recreational cannabis a critical business right now. And so just be sure that you're checking up on your state guidelines and you're following what your local government, remember local supersedes state. So in Denver, our stay-home order is stricter than the state stay-home order. And at the end of the day, I'm in Denver County. So what Denver County says, I have to do, that supersedes what our governor says, and I have to follow the strict guidelines in Denver County. That helps make sense. The same goes for cannabis regulations. So your local municipality, let's just say for operating hours, like in Colorado, let's just say you could operate from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And they changed it, but I just want to give you an example. So, but let's just say you're in a different part of the state, and that part of the state says, hey, your local municipality says you can stay open to midnight. You can stay open to midnight because your local municipality supersedes state regulations. So that's just a good thing to remember. I just I added in the pot leaf for fun, but like I thought this was great. I don't know who came up with this. You know, it's not like we're all hanging out with llamas all day long, but I just thought that it would really be cool, honestly, if we could put a huge like marijuana plant like in a big pot in between and make a cool social distancing meme. I think that would be great. But so try to remember 6 feet space between you and other people. This means your manufacturing facilities. This means your cultivation facilities and dispensaries. I've seen some really inventive things out there. People are using painter's tape, the blue painter's tape, masking tape. I'm seeing decal stickers, and they're spacing out for the employees where safe distance is to stand. They're also taping out the lobby and sidewalks, and they're just organizing it. So if it's curbside, they're making sure that the cars are in orderly line, and that if anyone's waiting in line on the sidewalk, there's tape for spacing. I would highly recommend as well for manufacturing facilities. Um, what they're doing in some of the manufacturing facilities that I'm talking to, they are cutting the employees by half for shifts, and splitting up the shifts and making sure that everyone's not shoulder to shoulder and that they're 6 feet apart in the manufacturing facility. So you just want to make sure that you find out if your state, especially for marijuana policy, has implemented any kind of social distancing guidelines. And if they haven't, then check with your health department, and I would follow those guidelines. And I'm just going to kind of cover, this was released this is basically guidance through our Colorado Department of Health and Environment, and this was sent out in a bulletin through the Marijuana Enforcement Division here in Colorado. And they just gave us some guidelines to follow for social distancing. So, and feel free to apply this in your operation, even if you're not in Colorado. But like I said, please be sure that you check to make sure that you're following the guidelines that your state has implemented. But if they haven't, here are some good best practices for you to use. And by the way, all this information that's coming out through the Marijuana Enforcement Division or the CDPHE, you can just take these documents, the PDF, copy and paste. I just copied and pasted this, and you can copy and paste this into your SOPs. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. All you got to do is copy and paste, or you just print off the PDF file, and then that gets put into your SOP binder. So it's a really easy way to update your SOPs. So limit the number of people inside your licensed premise at any one time, including employees, such that all people are at least 6 feet apart at all times. Limit the amount of time a patient or consumer can remain on your licensed premise. Utilize additional portions of the licensed premises, including the lobby, to provide additional space to facilitate social distancing between employees and patients and consumers between individual employees. Consider modifications to the licensed premise to provide additional space or create barriers, like installing sneeze guards. I've seen it. I think Trader Joe's, I'm pretty sure Safeway has it now. I haven't been to King Soopers in like 2 weeks, so I don't really know, but they're putting up these plexiglass sneeze guards at the registers where the employees are working. And then they're just taking some like painter's tape or bright yellow tape and outlining the edges so you can see the edges. And that's an added protection for employees. And do this to facilitate social distancing between employees, patients, consumers, and between individual employees. Use online or web-based application for virtual lines, wait lists. So I was sharing with the dispensary, go look for an app that works like a pager, like a restaurant pager or something like that. And I'm sure there's apps out there that act like a beeper, or like he says, virtual wait list lines that you can create. I'm sure there's like restaurant apps or anything out there that you can use, that then while they're waiting in their car, that then they know when to come pick up their order and pay for it. Require advance appointments, scheduling for patients or consumers to pick up orders. Instruct patients and consumers to arrive only after receiving notification that their order is ready for pickup. Encourage or require patients and consumers to complete their payments over the telephone or online prior to arrival. This also helps with less contact, less hand contact with things. And I like that. And highly recommend getting your websites up to date and ensuring that you can take online orders. Make sure you're following the regulations in your state. Some states might not allow online ordering specifically for recreational. This is something that we were not doing here in Colorado, but we had some emergency rules come out, and they're only temporary rules during the COVID pandemic right now to help keep us all safe so customers and patients can get to their products. Also, limit the formation of lines outside the licensed premises to the greatest extent. Yeah, you don't want to affect traffic and have traffic backed up. Make sure I saw some pretty creative things. One dispensary they made a video. They basically ran through how you place an order, how you pay for an order, then they got paged on their phone. This is all on video. They got paged on the phone, and then they drove up and got their order. They videotaped the whole thing for tutorial. Because this is all new for us. We're getting all pushed out of our comfort zones right now and doing things we never thought we'd have to do. So it's great to have these really educational, quick little videos that you can email out to all your customers and your patients, share them on your social media, on your business Facebook pages. And I'm just seeing some great videos, and dispensaries are being really inventive on how they're educating their customer base on how to make sure they're social distancing and following guidelines. And here's something I was thinking about today. I really think this is important. Like, I think you should be calling your supply chain. And if your dispensary isn't cultivating or manufacturing the products that go on your shelf, you should be reaching out to your manufacturers that you're ordering from and your cultivation facilities that you're purchasing product from, and just having a really nice conversation and just saying, one, checking in on them, ask them, how are they doing? Are they okay? And then, hey, are you following the guidelines? We just want to make sure the supply chain that we're putting in front of our patients and customers, that the people that are manufacturing are taking all the precautions necessary. And I think that's really important. I mean, these big corporations like Target or Costco or, anyone that makes a product, these stores, they're putting out letters. Like, I can't tell you how many letters I get in my email box every day saying that we're doing this and we're implementing this protocol. We have these health and sanitation guidelines that we're following. I'm not really seeing it too much from dispensaries, so I would highly take note. It's a little more quiet on this end, but I would highly suggest you just reach out to all the people you're purchasing product from and just say, hey, I want to have a conversation so I know that I'm protecting my staff and my customers and patients. So just check in on your vendors, have that, business conversation, that B2B conversation with them, and making sure that they're doing everything that they can so you feel good when you keep ordering from them. I also want to put it out there, if anyone is struggling on getting product, like I said, toilet paper, bleach, cleaning supplies, rubber gloves, paper towels, hand soap, your commercial facility, please reach out to me and I will give you a referral. I have to, I'll show you my email on the next slide, but email me and I'll do an email introduction because it's with Cannabis Kitchens. However, they need to know that you're a cannabis operation because they have a certain amount of things set aside for the cannabis industry. So please reach out to me and I'll do an email introduction for you. And that way you guys can start ordering. They're doing pretty well with keeping stocked up. However, there's some things they run out of and that they get restocked. So I'm not sure where their inventory is right now. I do know they do not have the N95 mask, but they do have other PPE gear. So for people looking for PPE gear for your cultivation facility, they do have other options for PPE gear if that's something that you guys are looking for. Because at the end of the day, these cultivation facilities, they spray things and they need PPE gear for any chemicals that they're spraying. Not every facility is organic. And some places are spraying things and they need to have the protective equipment in order to be in compliance with these EPA labels. Anyways, I really hope this video series was helpful. I'm really passionate about education in this industry. It's honestly one of my favorite things to do at the end of the day, is just helping people and helping educate, making sure to get the right information to people. So I really appreciate everyone for joining me today. I'm going to share my next slide. So like I said, you can email me if you guys need a resource for anything. Even if some people had to get an extra camera put outside to do curbside, if you need a referral for a security company or anything, however it can be a resource, I'm really here to help as much as I can. Feel free to lean into me or on me. Once again, thank you for joining me today, and I'll take questions after I stop the recording.